Hey, greetings, friends. This is the Keto ND, Dr. Graves here, and I am streaming live on the ExoKeto cycling page. And if you happen to be watching, welcome, and thanks for checking us out. So I am a naturopathic doctor here in Spokane, Washington, and I'm also passionate about cycling, among other things. So just wanted to do a quick video and talk about cyclocross and why I like to get involved with that. So I have been working out some technical issues with the live stream, so I hope you are hearing this okay. And if you have any questions, go ahead and send those on over. So I wanted to talk about cyclocross because I feel like it's a really great way to go into the winter season and to stay outside and stay active through the entire year. A lot of times when we live in the colder climates, we tend to become hermits and retreat indoors, and that means not staying active. And there's what I have found is that really foundational to my own well-being has been, one, finding outdoor and physical activities that I can do all year round and enjoy, and tailoring that or doing it in combination with a diet and habits that really help during the winter season and the holiday season to maintain good health and to feel good and enjoy yourself. So anyway, cyclocross is a sport that evolved from a very, very long time ago. It came primarily out of road cycling and the racers in Europe and elsewhere who tried to find something to do during the off season to extend the season in terms of staying active. And so the fall, what they would do is at the end of the summer racing season is they would have these races that were really meant to be just kind of a fun craziness, in which they would ride road bikes that often were modified a little bit, but they would ride them off-road in some difficult conditions and doing almost like an obstacle course with your bike and getting through all the muck and weather that might be thrown at you. So traditionally they are done into the fall, into the, they don't cancel races because of rain. Rain, snow, sleet, whatever it is, you've got to get out there and be prepared. As it turns out, depending on where you're at and what part of the country, there is quite a bit of popularity with cyclocross that you could probably find one nearby. Now, if you are not interested in cycling at all, I do recommend that you go visit one of these races and check it out. It's a great spectator-friendly sport. And whether it's enjoying watching people suffer up hills and getting muddy, but it's also easy to see most of the course because the courses are short track that loop around, and they're often in small parks and venues, and you could literally see the riders go by multiple times. They're usually just a couple of miles long, and the loops are done anywhere from 3 to 5 times. And so you can see people passing by and watch and take pictures and root people on. Anyway, it's really fun. And of course, maybe I'm crazy that way, but I do think that spectators, and myself included, enjoy watching it as much as I do enjoy riding it. It can be very intense for those of us that are competitive, but just as a side note, I wanted to emphasize how much safer mountain biking and cyclocross is in terms of sports. I mean, in general, cycling, getting on a bike and you're moving at high speeds, we are concerned, and many of us have known people have been injured on bicycles. Unfortunately, those usually involve automobiles, and the automobile is always going to win, typically, that encounter. Road cycling, when you are in a pack of riders, is typically one of the more dangerous aspects of cycling. It's not my fun. I don't enjoy road cycling very much unless I'm off the beaten path. So for me, cyclocross actually opened up a whole new, not only season of riding, but they're the ideal type of bike for being able to ride in many, many different conditions. So you can get on pavement, I love to find hidden routes and side roads and getting away from traffic to be able to do my training, and of course off-road. And off-road, you know, most mountain biking for us people, especially if you're my age, we have no interest in getting up into the air and flying around and falling off cliffs and stuff. So I think a lot of times people think mountain biking is very dangerous. Many of us have known people who, they get on a mountain bike, they go to maybe a ski resort where they do the downhill mountain biking, and that's about as intense as it gets, and that's not something that most of us need to do. Now, if you like to go fast and jump and do all that and you're young, why not? And even some of us old guys do that. But I like what's called cross-country mountain biking, and I like to go fast, but I like to do that in a safe manner. And we're talking about deserted trails, meaning there's no people. Typically, I'm not encountering automobiles. I'm typically not encountering other bikes. And of course, we are courteous and we yield to one another. But getting to know your bike and how to control that's a very empowering and a very safe sport. And so I have fallen. Typically, it's a bruise and a scrape. And my goal is to stay on the bike. That's rule number one, is know your equipment and ride within your comfort zone. And don't do something that someone else is doing or that you think you're supposed to do, unless you're, you know, getting used to doing that. So, you know, for instance, here I am. I've been mountain biking for, you know, a very long time. Of course, I rode dirt bikes as a kid, but it wasn't until my 20s I got into mountain biking, and then took a, you know, whole decade plus off, and then went back into it. And so I quickly have always learned that my goal is to have fun and stay safe. So my rule number one when I race and ride is stay on the bike and don't go beyond my comfort zone. So just a little side note, and in races I have fallen. I had one injury that was primarily because of my not used to a bike and the new brakes on it, and so it was mainly my fault. But anyway, where was I going? So with cyclocross, it's, I think, a great sport, and sometimes we are very intimidated because we think, oh, it's these extreme, you know, very intense cycle, you know, people who you know, it's not approachable for just anyone. But I'd love to see new riders. There's a lot of kids that come out to them and are getting into them. My two youngest have been very much wanting to do the kids when we're out there, the kids races. And so the thing is with cyclocross is that they make the courses very rideable. They're very smooth. Often you're on grass, and if you do slide or fall, it's you get yourself back up. Most of the time you can stay on the bike. But it is not super technical, although they do usually make a spot where you have to hop off your bike and maybe jump over a log or over a small barrier, and also have like a steep up that you need to run up, because it's usually not rideable. But anyway, it's a lot of fun, and it really helps keep us active and involved outdoors as we head into winter. And you know, in Spokane and in the inland Northwest, a lot of areas we can ride, you know, 10, 11 months, a year sometimes. And we generally don't get a lot of snow piling up. And with now fat bikes and studded snow tires for bikes, you could even get out even when the weather's really bad. But that's what indoor trainer's for too. Maybe I'll do that as a topic as the weather starts to turn nasty here. Anyway, but we usually don't get a lot of snow accumulation, and we can ride nearly all season sometimes. So really quick, I was going to mention the upcoming cyclocross races and where to look for getting out for those. So coming up this weekend in Sandpoint, Idaho is one of my favorite venues, partly because they do this every year early in the season, so that the weather is usually just beautiful. It's great. You'd be out there usually in short sleeves. Sandpoint is beautiful. If you've never been there, please come check it out. So anyway, that's this weekend in Sandpoint, Idaho. And I'm looking up the other dates. There are 2 cyclocross series in our neck of the woods, and I usually only do one of them because it's really local. So Sandpoint is actually part of the Wild West Cyclocross series, and most of them are in Montana. But Sandpoint is their opener, and that's the 29th and 30th, and they do have entry-level beginners. They have kids categories as well as the pros and all that. So come check that out if you can. The other one is the Inland Northwest Cyclocross Series that kicks off October 7th in Moscow, Idaho. The following weekend, the 14th in Pullman, October 21st in Coeur d'Alene, the 28th in Walla Walla, and wrapping up to my favorite venues here, November 11th at Walter's Fruit Ranch in Green Bluff. Love it up there. And then finally, November 18th at Riverside State Park, a fun place to be. So weather can be a little unpredictable, but as it was like last year in November out at Riverside State Park, I think we literally were hitting high 60s and even low 70s. That's kind of unusual, but it was a beautiful, beautiful day. So got the phone ringing here, so just get that turned down. So anyway, that is cyclocross in a nutshell, and watch tomorrow if you tune into the Naturopathic Med live stream on Tuesdays at 12:15. I'll be talking a little more about the keto diet and how easy it is to get launched into low carb, and also what 3 supplements you need to have this fall to stay healthy and to have healthy hormones. So thanks for watching, and ask your questions, leave comments, and I hope to see some of you outside on the trail. Take care.